Well, huge growth. As people move away from cash and checks, everything's going to be online. Online payments are everything from a stick of gum to a cup of coffee to big ticket items. So that's one area. There's going to be a need to improve security and trust so that people can feel confident about purchasing online. So the need to avoid security breaches or at least control them. And thirdly is controlling the cost of handling all this. The winners will be the people that can do all of this while controlling costs.
Well, the payments industry has become a fascinating arena in the last few years. From sort of a slightly boring backwater, it's come center stage in terms of change and challenges and innovation. So we're seeing one of the big challenges, I think, is for the payments industry participants just to get on top of all the massive changes, the evolution, the new entrants that are taking place. So I think one is just the pace of change. That's a big challenge. The second big major challenge really is about the continuing relevance of the major payment players. And we see that both from a technological perspective and from a business model perspective, that there is serious risk of the traditional players being disintermediated. And the new models and new technologies finding different ways to meet the needs of a very fast evolving, fast changing consumer demands.
The challenges facing the payments industry at the moment is just that there's so much innovation that's taking place that will help to reduce the capital that's required for the incumbent players. But I also think that there's a risk of real proper disruption because payments actually do work. They may not be the most efficient, cost-effective, but you still can make your payments.
I believe that regulation will continue to impact the payment industry because regulation, well, you clearly have the compliance aspect, which is putting pressure on banks' profitability, pushing banks to further screen, be selective about the business, which business they're doing and with whom, be more selective. On the other hand, regulators are also pushing for more financial inclusion, pushing, getting more competition in the market, and therefore lowering the barriers for new entrants. So you have those two trends. One is, being more selective. One is, trying to get more entrants. It puts a healthy tension in the market, and that comes with a challenge, of course. Now, if you compound that with the, the trend towards real time, where data needs to move faster, needs to be screened faster, that puts an additional challenge, but also an opportunity for more products and services.
Talking banking specific, there's a mass amount of fragmentation going on. So there's a number of new payment entrants entering the market and taking market share away from the banks. So this is something we are active in. And I guess we're leading some of that disruption, but we're also working with banks to counter some of that disruption. So it's an interesting space.
The biggest challenge out there at the moment is the whole innovation versus compliance debate. And we had the discussion in the conference earlier where Ruth, the leader from Citibank, was talking about how a lot of innovators are talking about bringing something new to the market, and in her words, all they're really doing is painting something in a new colour and making it look like something new, whereas in fact a lot of what the innovators are doing is really relying on the current infrastructure. So then you have the problem where the banks who provide the current infrastructure still carrying the compliance cost, whereas the innovators, in inverted commas, are transacting with the underlying customer. And this doesn't necessarily change the relationship with the regulator that exists at the moment versus someone who's genuinely bringing a new innovation to the market, therefore not sitting on the current infrastructure. How does one get comfortable that that new innovation actually complies with regulations? So I think that's the biggest complication. How do you get comfortable with what you're doing is actually bringing value to you and complying with regulations?
I would say the challenges are three-pronged. Acceptance of technology. The debate is whether the technology is disruptive or the technology is something where you can leverage things upon. Now, that is problem A. The problem B, if you look at once the technology is accepted, right, how to actually optimize it for my better business. That's the point B. And third point is once I do a good business, how do I do good reporting or analytics which actually is going to help me grow business. So these are the three primary challenges. The technologies have always been there in the marketplace. It's how banks are going to leverage it. I think that's the key point which banks should look at this point.